two, one.
So, back to the technology show. It is the technology show where we translate geek into regular speak. I'm Brett Levy. I'm your host this week. So I'm getting better at this. I think I'm on time for a change, which is good. I've got all my segments lined up. So I think let's just get into the show. So let's bring up the notes for those that are watching. So things with a Z. Now, as you all know, I love my toys. If it has a battery, a screen, or an app, I want to play with it. Today's review, though, is a little bit different because it involves two very uncooperative co-reviewers, my cats Scotty and Glacy. If you're watching the show, I've actually put a picture of the two little monsters up. Scotty's the little Scottish fold and Glacy's the princess with all the fur. So why are they my reviewers? Well, I was sent the new Life 360 pet GPS trackers to test out. Now, I love my animals, but they have entirely different personalities. Scotty, who's my boy, is a male, super easygoing, but he fancies himself as a little bit of a Houdini. Loves to try sneak out whenever the door opens. He actually hides behind the door so that when it opens, he can get ready to spring. Glacy, on the other hand, is a female and a 100% princess. She thinks that her poop doesn't stink, and I've changed her cat litter. It does. Sorry, Glacy, it does. But anyway, so getting a collar on her is nothing short of a diplomatic mission. However, Life 360 Pet GPS is positioned to remind us that our pets are actual family members. I mean, if you own a pet, I've worked with people and companies before where their dogs even come to work. They are family members. So what it does is it gives you real-time location tracking, escape alerts. We can talk about that a bit later. And it actually integrates straight into the exact same Life 360 app that many of us already use to make sure your kids get to school safely. I'm going to pause there for a second. I'm just making assumptions. Life 360 is not new. It's been around for a long time. But basically, it started off as an app where you, as part of a family or a group of friends, could kind of see where everyone else is. You could see when they've arrived, when they've got to where they needed to be. I used the school example. Like if you were a parent and your kids were going to school on their own, you have the option to track and make sure they get to school. And Life 360 will actually tell you, it will say, Kate has arrived at school. So yeah, that's basically what the app is. For those of you that don't know, I thought let me just quickly clarify that. So anyway, back to the review. So let's talk about the hardware first. So this is a hardware play. If you're watching, I've put a picture of it up here on the screen. The trackers are compact and they clip securely onto an existing collar. So there's this little clip. I think I might have another picture that comes up just now that shows it. So you have to have your own collar. So that's what I'm trying to get to. So the little box arrives. It comes with a clip, the charger, etc. I love the packaging. I've actually shared the packaging with you. So when you slide it out of the sleeve and you've got this box that you're about to open, for those listening, it basically says, for the runner, the chaser, the cute, but the stressful troublemaker. And I think that probably sums up most of our pets. Scotty didn't really mind it at all. Like when I put the track on him, he just want to get outside to see what trouble he could find. That literally, this cat lives for food and escaping. That's what he tries to do. Glacy gave me absolute hell. Now, hers was actually a girly pink one as well. The people that sent it to me to review were really thoughtful. They knew I had a boy and a girl. So they sent me this cool blue and orange one. You get it in black as well, by the way. And then you get in this bright pink, like this candy floss pink. But she's just not a collar cat. It really didn't last long. The moaning, the screaming. I mean, she was like someone that just came third in a pageant. It was just horrible. But anyway, on that note, the tracker is compact, but for what it is, Bluetooth, mobile technology, etc., it is maybe a bit big for cats, especially smaller cats, and maybe even smaller dogs. So bear that in mind. Their discomfort is probably not as important as their security for us as owners, but just bear that in mind. I have put a picture up. You can see Well, actually, there it is. You can see the clip as well. But there's a picture. When I put it on Scotty, it was on the back of his collar, so it's like it because he kept trying to rip it off when it was on the front. And if you're actually watching the show, you'll see there's what looks like a little light. So the little logo that you can see actually lights up. I'll talk about that a little bit later on, but it's an LED light. But I will remember to come back to that. Build quality is solid. There's an IP68 water resistance. Please remember, water resistant. You cannot throw the dog in the pool. It will not work. It will break. It will get water in. So water resistant, not waterproof. But a good splash, running through a puddle, rolling in a wet bush, playing in the mud, you're all good. Real magic though. Now I mentioned for those of you that didn't maybe know what Life 360 was, it always was and started off as an app. So there's app shots that I put up here. I was actually going to take screenshots of my own. I thought, no, I might get some stalkers coming and figuring out where I live. So I've just used some stock images, but I mean I can talk you through it. The thing is it is a really well laid out app. It sits on top of maps. It gives you all kinds of information. It shows you in little circles all the members of your family where they are. In this instance, now you can have a picture of your pet uploaded as well. Your pet shows up on the main app alongside everyone else, so you don't have to go to a separate section just for pets. You can. Inside the app is people, pets, keys, or things, objects, because they do integrate with other devices as well. You can set up custom places. So I should sit here and put my fingers in there, inverted commas, places. So for example, your home, right? And then that will give you an instant alert anytime someone or something, or in this case, Scotty, goes past that geofence. I tested the escape pet mode. Okay, so I didn't actually let Scotty escape as much as he would have loved that. I took the GPS tracker with me and I made a run for it. So I opened the app and the tracker, which uses a mix of like cellular data, Bluetooth, and Wi-Fi. So you actually do get real-time location. It showed that it was right next to me, obviously, because I was in the circle as well. So it was me and it was Scotty. It shows it as Scotty, right? But it worked. There it was. So if for some reason Scotty had gone out, I would have been able to find him. Now I mentioned earlier about the light. There are two cool features. So firstly, you can turn on the light. So from the app, there's a little button that you hit. If you're watching the show, the screen that I have up at the moment with the guy holding the hand with the dog on it, the very bottom, I know it's small, but there's a little tab that says ring light, and I can't remember the other one. I think lost pet mode or escape. But you push the light button and it actually turns on that light. Now, this is cool because then you don't have to make a noise. So like with an Apple tag, for example, when you've lost it, you send and it starts beeping. You look for it. If you've got your little hide and seeker in the dark or in a cupboard, which is the favorite place for Glacier to hide, you don't actually scare them when that sound goes off. And you don't wake up family members. Like let's say you're looking for the cat or your pet at an ungodly hour for whatever reason. You can just put the light on, and if it's dark, you're going to see the light. It's really bright enough to see in the dark. There is the option, that's the other feature, and it's there on the app as well, to push the button that says ring. So you push it and it starts playing this little like a little musicy thing. So you can, if that's the preference. I think the ring tracking is also really cool if you are looking for them like outside. And if before anyone asks the question, yes, you can put them both on simultaneously. So if it's nighttime and your pet is lost or escaped, you can put the light on. So if it's hiding in a bush, hopefully you'll see the light, and you can play the sound as well. Right. For those of you with indoor royalty, like Lacey, because she hardly goes out, but she is the best hide and seek player you've ever seen in your life. And she always chooses different places. So you think you know where she's hiding. It's a great device. As I said, you can put the little light on, you can play a little sound, you can go and find her. And why would you want to do this? Well, often your house might be unlocked or the doors are open or something like that. You've got to go out. Are the cats inside? I don't know. You can call. They're not going to come. Dogs may be a bit different to cats. Cats, they do things on their terms, right? They'll do it when they're ready to and they're good and proper, not when you call them. So this way you could have a little ping, make sure that the cat is in the house. If you don't hear it outside, it's inside, and you can just maybe do a quick sweep. So It is good for indoor tracking as well. The last thing, which is obviously a feature that we hope you never have to use, or Life360 hopes you never have to use, is if your cat actually does go missing. So, I mean, I'm joking about me taking out the tag and going and checking it. But if your animal actually goes missing, you can issue a lost pet alert in the Pet Finder network. So what this actually does, it actually pings all other all other Life360 members that are nearby to keep an eye out. So basically, this is like a crowdsourcing search party without having to print out all those little sad posters and tape them up on the lampposts. There's nothing worse than driving past it and seeing the cat. I mean, I'm sure you've done it. Like, oh, shame, look, they're missing the cat. And then the poster goes down and you always wonder. So, as I said, this will actually ping everyone else in the network. Initially, I thought, do I want to be bugged with this? But then again, if you're going and spending the money on tracking people and or animals that are important to you in your life, then I don't think you'd be too upset if you just got a notification. It's subtle. It'll pop up saying lost pet alert. You can click on it. You can see what it is. What's nice about it is you can actually see what the cat looks like. If you've gone into animal, sorry, you can take a picture. Like now, if you're looking at the screen, there's a picture of a dog there, and you can see what that dog looks like. You now know its name, so you can call it by name. I wonder if you could actually start pinging from your device. That would be a cool feature. Life360, you should maybe push a button on that others can start searching and pushing ping alerts, whatever, in their area. Anyway, but it doesn't do that. Right, the last thing now, with all this pinging and lights and sharing data and that, what happens to the battery? So the battery lasts about 14 days on a single charge. I say about, I don't know. I haven't put it through its full paces. I've said this every show that I review tech that involves a battery. I'm going to say it again now. I'm not an advocate of running a battery down to zero ever. So I don't think you should. You could. It can go down. But basically, the company claims a 14-day single charge. There is also a low power reserve mode, and that will keep them trackable for up to about 6 months. I don't know what the limitations of low power are. I assume you probably can't like ping or track them in real-time data like the whole time. You might have to actually activate and look for them to start feeding back the information. That would make sense to me, is that in low power mode, they won't appear on the map like all the other people that have their phones with them. You would probably have to select the cat or the dog or the person, whatever it is, and then that's where low power is. I assume. I don't know. I didn't try it out. You do though get a low battery alert, and you can also see the battery status. So if you go into Scotty's profile, it'll say 48% or 58% or whatever it is. Just keep in mind though that the tracker, the GPS, the pet GPS, does require a Life360 Gold or Platinum membership to power the cellular connection. So if you already have that and use the app for your family, no brainer, right? It's already there. It's free. I think you can have up to 5 pets included in your account. I'm not sure. I think it's 5. And then you can pay an additional like $3 a month or something for each additional animal. I'm going to assume not too many of us have more than 5 pets, and your 3-year-old does not count as a pet, even if they behave like one. What else can I tell you? So if you've got an escape artist like Scotty, or you just want to know your pets are safe, then yeah, brilliant piece of kit, well made, works exactly as it says it's going to. So yeah, I would highly recommend this. I did work with someone recently that after a Christmas party, car door opened, dog ran away, and I think it was about 3 hours later they thankfully finally found the dog. Maybe with a pet trap on it, listen to me, for the pet track on it, with the pet GPS, might have found the dog sooner. Anyway, is what it is. Right, so where does that take us now? On to tech news. I have to start with this one because it just makes my blood boil. So Meta is apparently planning to add facial recognition technology to its smart glasses. Yes, Zuckerberg and his team want people walking around scanning faces in public. So for regular listeners, I'm not a fan of the company and their CEO. Their absolute disregard for privacy, the way they turn us into a product, And I'm going to pause there, right? Because I have taken a bit of a little bit of flack for this. I don't mind being the product when the relationship is transparent. You're giving me Gmail for free. You're taking my data. You're seeing what I'm doing. You're serving adverts to me online. I get it. Cool. And Facebook, I'm using Facebook for free. You're serving me adverts. But when you start taking all of my photographs and all the photographs of the people that I'm friends with, and now I have a name for them, and then start building this network of people, and now you want to use it for whatever nefarious purpose you have, that's where I have a problem with Meta and specifically Zuckerberg. I might change my views when he finally steps down, but I think he's too much of a narcissist megalomaniac to ever do that. But anyway, moving along. So the idea that someone can actually look at you with a pair of Meta glasses and instantly pull up your digital footprint, it is terrifying. I mean, imagine if you've been accused of something that you haven't done, okay? Sure, it's great if you have done it, but you haven't done it. You've been accused of something, you haven't been found guilty, and all of a sudden your glasses start pinging, criminal in the area or whatever it is that you've been charged with. I don't know. I think it's a little bit too dystopic for me, and I think some handbrakes need to be put on this little man in his little glass bubble. Anyway, so they claim it'll be strictly regulated, but it's always one of those after the facts, right? Oh, sorry, the data leaked. We did really strictly control it, but yeah. Anyway, so onto a much cooler note, space exploration. Now, I love the concept of space. I'm just going to put that there. I would also like to see a little bit more ocean exploration because it's a little bit closer to home and we can kind of get there. But anyway, they are looking at some serious upgrades. So European researchers are testing a new mission concept now where autonomous robots will descend into hidden lava tubes on the moon and Mars, they've said. So I don't know how long it's going to take them to get to Mars. So these are like massive underground tunnels that could maybe one day be used to shelter human explorers from radiation, like from the sun, and space debris, right? So you're on the moon. It's not like you can just check into a hotel or bomb shelter. You kind of like just arrived, right? There's nothing there. So these lava tubes, obviously, they've been there for millions of years, and the moon's evolved and it's done what it's done. So what they're going to do is they're going to send down 3 different types of robots. They're going to work together to map out these caves. And then it sounds like something like straight out of a sci-fi movie, but I do absolutely love it. I've put a picture on there of showing like what a colony could look like. Like you got this big hole, and then underneath there's this whole world. And it's kind of exactly like if you ever watched what was the old James Bond movie, Moonraker, I think. They kind of did this. They built this like secret underground lair on the moon. So yeah, medical tech. So some really clever people in this world, I have to say. The researchers at University of Michigan have developed an AI system that interprets brain MRI scans in seconds. So it has accurate. Oh, no, I can't talk today. It accurately identifies a huge range of neurological conditions and immediately flags cases that need urgent care. So now think about that. If you have an aneurysm and it's about to explode, you kind of want to be moved up the queue, right? Like that could be life or death saving. Anyway, so it's been trained on hundreds of thousands of scans. And this is exactly the kind of AI that we need. Like we've talked about tech for the sake of tech. And on the last show that I did with Tomat CS, where just everything was slapped with an AI label. This is AI. This is now using large language models and just doing cool stuff. So this will take the heavy lifting off the doctors, who can actually then focus on saving lives. So imagine now you've got 5 or 6 patients. They've all been put through they've all gone through like the MRI, and yeah, now the AI will say, look, you need to handle that case first, that case second, that case third. I suppose if if they're all urgent, then it's a problem. But anyway, brilliant. What else we got? So Bridgewater Associates have just released a report estimating that big tech will invest about $650 billion US to scale up AI infrastructure this year. And that's a massive jump from last year. They're pouring money into data centers, power grids, custom silicon. That's very important. Like you've heard all the memory shortages that we're suffering. This is just to keep up with the demand for the compute power. So it shows that AI is not going anywhere soon. It's not slowing down. I mean, we just talked about an article, a new invention. But what they are going to have to figure out is the energy consumption problem. And that needs to be solved very soon. They might need to actually call on our friend Elon because he seems to get all this and understand all of this. But there's one thing to acknowledge, that there's a chip and processor, GPU, graphics processing unit, that we have shortages and that there's price hikes. In fact, Steam, right, for all the gamers that have Steam networks, the Steam handheld, you cannot get it anymore. It's sold out and they can't make it because they can't get the parts. So clearly we have a supply and demand issue. But what is probably an equal concern is power. The world is already under power stress. People are pushing back against coal mining and they're trying to find sustainable and clean energy, but we just don't have enough of it. So, maybe the Tesla gigawatt batteries that have been put up everywhere, that could help, but that is something that we need to do. Anyway, that was a perfect segue into our brand new segment. How do I get there? Our brand new segment, drum roll. Aye, aye, Captain. I've been battling with this one. For those of you that are listening, you probably thought that you've just tuned into, like, I don't know, a pirate show. Do I call it AI Captain? Do I call it AI Captain? I went with AI Captain because, I don't know, it just sounded cool and I was trying to do a play on words on AI. So for anyone that's trying to understand when I'm saying AI Captain, I do like the sound of that. AI. It's AI Captain. And this is the very first edition of the show or the segment. So it's new. It's kind of where I want to strip away all the jargon and look at how AI is actually being used in the real world. I am hoping to have a co-contributor for this segment. I'm busy negotiating on how to get this to work for us. We've got time zone issues. But for today, I just want to talk about small businesses. I've actually been writing a few articles about this online on LinkedIn. So if you follow me on LinkedIn, then please go and have a look and have a read and feel free to share. But basically, I've been speaking to a lot of SME owners recently, and the general feeling is one of overwhelm. Like, they're just overwhelmed. They know what they should be using, that they should be using AI, sorry, but they actually don't know where to start. So that's the first thing that I think a lot of people have a problem with. So here's the secret, right? AI is the fuel, but automation is the engine. And I think that's quite important to keep that in mind when we start talking about AI. It's a product. It's not the thing that does everything. It's just another tool. Same as Photoshop's a tool. It's not the actual output of the artwork in that, right? So having a smart chatbot write a marketing email, great. Asking ChatGPT to solve the meaning of life, the answer is 42. But if you still have to manually copy the email, paste it into your email client, find the customer list, hit send, you're kind of missing the point of what this is all about. The real power comes when you connect all these tools. So you need to kind of look at platforms like Zapier, N8N, or as my friend Martin likes to call it, NNN. Hey, Martin. Or Make, and there's others. Those kind of ones that I use and most people would use. And this ties all your apps together. Zapier has been around for ages. If this, then that is one of the original ones as well. So imagine a workflow where a customer fills out a form on your website that triggers your AI to draft a personalized welcome email based on their answers, drops their details into your CRM, and then sends a message to you on Slack or Microsoft Teams or Google Chat, whatever you want to use, or even SMS, right? Letting you know that you have a new lead. No one touched the keyboard. That is how small businesses can operate like big corporations. Big corporations to date have been employing lots of people to do these types of things. Unfortunately, we will see job losses there because automation will replace those jobs or scale those jobs into one person doing multiple. But for a small business where the business owner is normally the person doing the work, if you're not using AI and, more importantly, automation to drive your AI, you are going to lose the race. So don't just look for AI tools that generate text or images. Don't just, hey, chat, what's the weather and blah, 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 blah. Look for tools that actually remove friction. And that's why I use the fuel analogy, right? If you don't have good oil in your engine, it's going to seize. You use the wrong octane, it's going to seize. Put diesel in a petrol engine or vice versa, it's going to seize. Your business will seize. So start small. Automate one repetitive task this week and see how much time you actually get back from that. If you need help, let me know. This is one of the focuses of what my consultancy is all about. As I said, I've been writing a couple of articles that I'll share over the next week. I think I shared one yesterday. I don't know. Yes, yesterday, because today was show day. I don't know. It's there. I've definitely shared one article so far. That was kind of what gave me the idea for the first segment, sorry, of Aye, Captain. So there it is. I hope you like the new segment. As I said, I'm really hoping that I can align with this new co-host on that, and someone that I can collaborate with on that. That will then take us to Are You Game? So, no, I'm not making excuses. He's like, oh, wait for it. Brett hasn't played a game. I have, but not one to review. Usually I would be talking about the game that I've been playing. So I'm not making excuses. I've actually been diving into the research side of things ahead of GDC. So if you don't know what GDC is, it's the Game Developers Conference that's coming up early next month. I think it's the 9th. Oh, it's on the screen. 9th to the 13th in San Francisco. It's the biggest event of the year for people who actually make the games that we play and love. So I've been looking through the submissions and the session schedules to see like where the industry's heading, trying to get a couple of ideas of things that I can A, talk about, and B, games that are coming out. They always give teasers and trailers and that. So I've been looking for a couple of ones that I have earmarked a few. So hopefully there'll be some nice new little game reviews coming soon. But this is interesting, right? The biggest trend this year is, and again, given that I've got II Captain, I have to talk about this. The integration of AI into development workflows. So I'm not talking about AI making the games. We're still making games. Game developers are making games, but they're using generative tools that not only that speed up like all the boring stuff, like the rendering and that. So there's going to be a lot of really interesting sessions on this. There's neural rendering and real-time path tracing. So what this basically means, it's getting to a point where the lighting and the physics in the game will be indistinguishable from reality. We're going to start seeing stuff that is hyper real. Now, this does come at a cost. If you don't have really good internet speeds, your games will lag, or you'll have to set your settings right down, which will take away from the experience. But in a normal first world country, and I say normal because I live in a place with the most pathetic internet. NBN, you suck. That should be a hashtag. But yeah, the other thing that I was seeing a lot of focus on is AI powered NPCs. An NPC is a non-playing character. So that's like the characters you see running around in the games, right? Why is this important? Okay, well, I'll give you a real example. Imagine playing a game like Red Dead Redemption. Oh, got to play that again. There's a game I'm going to play again. So imagine playing Red Dead Redemption, right? The characters don't just keep repeating the same 3 lines of dialogue, but actually will converse with you dynamically based on your actions. So just think about that for a second. So if you've played any of those types of games, Grand Theft Auto, Red Dead Redemption, any of the big RPGs for that matter, you get up to the Fallout. I'm always talking about Fallout. I talked about the show last week. So you come out of the bunker, you go down in Vegas, you go down to there's like a sheriff's office and a saloon and that, and there's a little old man or old lady, I can't remember, sitting on a rocking chair on the porch, and they say the same line to you over and over again. So every time you respawn and come back, and you kind of can click through to fast forward, because once you've heard it once, now they will interact with you. So if you've just killed something before getting there and it was within the sphere of play, it'll probably go, nice shot, partner. Those damn cockroaches are pesty. That is super cool. So you're starting to actually have intelligence inside the game that will make each play unique to what's happening at that moment in time and or how you play the game. So that's kind of what developers are building right now. And then the last thing that I noticed, which is about damn time, is the competitive scene. So the esports scene. There's a lot of talk about infrastructure being looked at this year. So this is the back end of esports. This is where where the magic actually happens, and we get to see all the streams and the scoring and the leaderboards and everything else. So the technical attention that it actually deserves, that will now make our tournaments smoother. They'll make it fairer, because you'll be able to start pairing teams up against each other a lot better, taking lots of data like player stats, player performances, so on. There's nothing worse when you go to an esports event and you've just got this absolute David Goliath scenario. You know what's going to happen. you want to support the underdog, but it's just not fair. These type of algorithms would probably make it that the better players play the better players, the weaker players play the weaker players, and everyone kind of just gets a better game. So this is what's coming up in San Francisco next month. Yeah, so that's Are You Game? If we had Q&A, so let's have a quick look now. What have I got? Okay, cool. So, hey, Brett, why does my laptop battery keep draining so fast when I close the lid and it goes to sleep? It it is dead by morning. I'm reading the question. Sorry. So, classic issue. It's very frustrating. I suffer from this every now and then. So, for those listening, close the lid on your computer, put it into inverted commas sleep mode, and then you put in your bag and you go to work and you open up, it's dead. And it takes and of course you got there 1 minute before work starts and you got a video call and your machine's dead. You raise your hands. We've all done this. We've all experienced this, right? So it's very frustrating. But I know what causes it, so I'm quite happy to answer the question. So if you're on a Windows machine, and my condolences if you are, the biggest culprit is usually a feature called fast startup, or modern standby. It's one of the two. So what Windows does is it tries to keep your machine semi-awake. So it turns on instantly and then fetches your emails in the background so that when you lift up the lid. It's a terrible feature. So you can go into your power options and you can choose what the power buttons do and uncheck turn on fast startup or modern standby, something like that. I don't know if it's different between Windows 10 and Windows 11. I do not spend a lot of time in that environment. I do know that's a problem because I helped someone solve it the other day, actually. But both Mac and PC users, you also need to check your Bluetooth because this is the part that kills me. I have a Bluetooth mouse and a Bluetooth keyboard. So if you close the lid, but if your keyboard moves or the mouse moves and it's on, it's going to trigger and it's going to wake up your machine. So this is going to keep happening. It's then going to keep trying to find the Bluetooth. So it's going to keep pinging, which means it's using the battery. So that's one thing to think of maybe before you put it in sleep, like by closing the lid, just switch off your Bluetooth. I know it's a pain because that means you actually have to turn it on and turn it on again. I get it. But someone asked the question. I can only give you some suggestions on how to maybe fix it. And then the last thing, and this is definitely my main problem, not so much the Bluetooth, but my main problem is heavy applications. So a lot of heavy applications will refuse to let your machine sleep. I use Chrome. Chrome on a Mac is terrible. It's a resource sucker. If you've got 30 gigs on your machine available, it will take 30 gigs. If you've got 60, it'll take 60. Chrome will try and eat as much RAM as it possibly can. I have, at any given moment in time, upwards of 70 or 80 tabs open. So when I close my lid at night, Chrome kills my machine. It doesn't matter if I turn off Bluetooth. So it is an easy fix. I just keep forgetting to do it. Basically, what you need to do is go to Chrome, close Chrome. Just check your settings first. There is a default setting that will always reopen where you left off. If you don't have that on, you're going to lose all 70 tabs. Then you're going to hate me. So please don't do that. Go to Chrome, look for that setting, choose it. It says reopen open all previous tabs on opening. And that's important also when you do the updates. Like it often says Chrome needs an update or you have to restart and so on. So close Chrome and your machine battery will probably then go to sleep because that, especially if you're a Mac user. So that will then, that's basically it. So that's the end of Q&A. So until next time, keep your screens clean and your knobs shiny.